Here we are back at the channel, and today I'm going to show you the unboxing review of the Mahle Motorsport piston kit here that I got for a small block Ford. This is going to be for my 331 stroker. I bought this and the scat rods, clevet bearings, I believe. Yeah, clevet bearings. And scat crankshaft, rods, and everything, all from FordStrokers.com. I will not get paid for doing so. So if you mention my name, I doubt that they will care. I mean, not that he won't care, but you know what I'm saying. I'm not getting paid. I'm doing this just because it's fun, and I just want you to know what you're going to be getting when you do this. I went with a cask kit, so I have a cask. It is a steel, but it is a cast crank. Those are I-beam rods. I have the video for those two, so please go check those out, like and subscribe onto that. You might as well subscribe because you keep coming back, so you might as well just, you might as well. I mean, come on, right? Anyway, let's get into this. These are, again, and sorry, but I've got one hand here. 331 stroker. So I believe this is the part number. I don't know, it just says etching. Bill of material? Is that what? Yeah, I'm gonna guess. So basically, I guess this is your actual part number here then. And because there's several things in here, like the pistons and the pins and the clips and the rings, I'm not actually going to put down an overall part number, I don't think. Although I might drop this into my title. Who knows? Anyway, let's see here. Piston weight 0? Yeah, really? Okay, cool. Doubt it. And let's see. Old part number? Yeah, this is an old part number, I guess. And additional text. Piston to wall clearance 300,000 measured at half inch up. So that's what they're half inch up. Let's see here. Half inch up of what, though, is a good question. Up from the bottom of the piston skirt, or I mean the cylinder wall skirt, or half inch up. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Good news is I took this and the instructions over to my machinist, who was reading this thing here, and he made sure that the piston to wall clearances are good, which again, I did read this too, actually. And according to this, Mahle is building these pistons to where they will fit with the clearance when you bore and hone the block to whatever these are. So in this case, these are 30 over. These are 30 over pistons. And so according to Mahle here, all you got to do is bore it out to 4.030. And when you do that, your piston to skirt clearances or piston to wall clearances are good, according to them. But then if you have severe duty, such as drag race, nitrous, force induction, field blocks, endurance racing, etc., may require an additional 1 to 300 thousandths of clearance. Just remember that a little loose is always better than a little tight in most extreme performance applications. So for me, this is going into a roller block 331 stroker that will go into this car right here. It's going to be naturally aspirated. I do have a separator plate between the upper and the lower manifold. I have a EFI intake manifold, a Performer RPM to be exact. I got it used for a great price. It was barely used, actually. And I'm going to use the Mahle Terminator X to run it. But my point is, I have a nitrous plate spacer that goes in between there. I'm going to put it in there. I don't know if I'm going to plumb it in, but I'm going to put it in there. That's what I'm going to do. So it'll be my thermal insulation spacer, as well as possibly a nitrous spacer at some point down the road. So if I do add nitrous, then, you know, that's about all I'm going to do. Now, I like my stuff to last. I mean, yeah, who doesn't like power, right? I've got an 89 Mustang that is kind of, you know, hanging out in the field right now. And my point I'm making is if I want to get stupid and really fast, and I don't care if it blows up, that's the one that I'm going to do the stupid shit with. But this one here, I want this one to be my driver. I do want some performance. I just don't want to blow it up, okay? Yeah, obviously you're going to put your foot into it, etc. But that, you get what I'm saying. So, for me, I told Brad, my machinist, to kind of, you know, maybe give me 100,000th clearance over, and it wouldn't hurt my feelings at all. But if you just go to 4030, it's probably going to be fine, because I just plan to run this thing, you know, modestly, so to speak. Now, let's open up the box here. And again, I'll probably be putting the phone down here because I'm only working with one hand. But let me just say this also from the start. This is the first time I bought, no, it's not the first time I bought a stroker kit. I take that back. It is the first time I bought, for me, I've bought several for other people, but never for me. So this is my first time actually buying a very, very, what I would call high-end. These pistons are amazing. I mean, compared to what I'm used to like cast pistons, and I'm used to hyper-eutectic, you know, the cheaper ones, right? The 100 and, you know, under $200 ones, basically. I'm used to forged pistons of the TRW variety, by the way, which is, you know, if some of you youngins ain't gonna understand that, but that TRW back in the 90s and the 2000s was kind of the shiznit, right? I mean, because those were the cheap forged pistons that you could buy, and they were very effective. They worked really well for the amount of money that you put into them. You know, and then you're talking about Wiseco, Mahle, who else? I mean, Diamond. I mean, there's all kinds of piston manufacturers now that are really high end, and you know, you're spending minimum $600 to several $1,000s per piston. So honestly, this is my first real, like, wow kind of piston, right? Like something that I put some money into, right? So just putting that out there. Just putting that out there. Here we go. Check this out. All right. Well, now we got an actual part number for sure on there. And what do we got? I don't know what that second one is. The over here, 10/24/24. So I imagine that's the. Oh yeah, and it's timestamp even down to the second. Interesting. So these are obviously coated, as you can see. Look right there. You can see where the coating was sprayed on, and it didn't quite get all this area here, but I would guess that that's okay, because you can see that they sprayed it all over here and they got it everywhere. But a little bit here is rubbed off, it looks like, but you know, maybe from shipping or whatever. But anyway, here you go. Look at that. Just didn't get it all sprayed there, and that's fine, I guess, according to the instructions that I saw over here. They were saying that it's fine if it doesn't have it everywhere. And then you can kind of see a black rectangular square, another kind of skirt coating or whatever that's inside of this as well. Obviously the piston valve relieves. I mean, this is a very high quality piston, by the way. And again, some of you veterans out there, some of you guys that, you know, do this for a living and do some serious racing, you're probably thinking I'm such a fucking amateur right now, which you're absolutely correct when it comes to this stuff, because I honestly just do not, I've not messed with pistons like this. In fact, let me, I think I can show you what I'm talking about here. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So here it is. This is the TRW. What's this one? This one's a 40 over right there. Yeah, look at that. 40 over. You can see that it's got some forging marks right there. So this is a forged piston. I don't know what alloy it is, the 4032 or the other one. I don't really exactly. There's several, I think, actually. But my point is that these back in my day were the shiznit. Like, you know, again, for the amount of money that you could spend on those and get a forged piston that was actually very durable for blowers and nitrous and shit and all the Mustangs, that was the shiznit right there. So, but these, oh yeah, night and day difference. I got right up there to a couple boxes. There's some hyper eutectic pistons in there. And if you go look at my junkyard dog video, by the way, go look at that, and you'll see that I put in those hyper eutectic 60 over pistons in this engine. Actually, that's sitting right there. So that engine right there has those 60 over hyper eutectic pistons. If I remember right, that's a Silverlight brand or whatever. Again, they weren't more than 200 bucks, I think. But these, I don't remember the price because I bought it at the package deal. And I bought it at the package deal with all of this on Cyber Monday. So I got a heck of a deal. But if you want to see what you're getting for these Mahle pistons and what's all inside here, this is why I'm doing this. So, let's pull this out. There we go. So we've got some, these are the rings right here. Still in the packages. I will not pull these out right now because I don't want to get them all mixed up. But here they are. But one thing for sure. Okay, and again, that's the other thing I'm used to. I'm used to, let's see, do I have them hang them up? Yeah, I do have them hanging up there. There they are. I don't know if I can get to it. My garage is a mess. Sorry. I just have a lot of shit going on. Take a look at these. You see that? Those are the piston rings. I took them off and I labeled them. So if I ever want to put that engine back together, because the engine really doesn't have a whole lot of miles on it, but I just took them off and labeled them and everything. I can clean them up and put them back on. But you see those rings are pretty thick. I think those are 5/64, I think, or something. I can't remember the exact. But they're the old school stuff that's really, you know, thicker, right? And so now today everything is in millimeters. Number one, they don't call it fractional numbers, they call it millimeters. And look how thin these babies are. Okay, so these are the new style. Again, this is my first one, whether it's a customer or mine actually, using these thin piston rings. I've never look at the size of those ringlands. Those are just crazy dinky. Yeah, there's the upper one, the second one, and there's the oil ring right there. Even the oil ring area, which by the way, these pistons do not come up into the oil ring like a 347 does. So that's one of the reasons actually why I did go that route. A lot of people say that they have that problem figured out now as far as oil consumption and you know, the fact that the piston pin is in the oil ring area. They say they have that figured out. I wasn't going to take a chance, and I don't really need 347 cubic inches, because if I wanted to do that, I would just go with 363 cubic inch, which means I would have to actually buy a Dart or a Motorsport block to make that happen, because you got to bore it 4.125 in diameter to get that thing to work. So there's again the piston right there, the rings here. So the other box is obviously going to be the pins. And what do you know? It's the pins. Here's the locks in this little bag right here. It looks like they're wire locks. Yeah. Okay. And here's the pins right there. Get one of these babies. Oh, and this is a sealed bag. Yeah, sealed bag. So I'm not going to open that up. Nope, not going to open that up because I don't want to, you know, expose it to moisture or anything like that until I'm ready to use it. But wow, you know what? That's one thing I do notice. These pins are, well, okay. That's the other thing. Okay, this is how old I am, or whatever you want to call me. But look at that. Look at that. These aren't very long, actually. And you'll notice how, like, you know, it comes in and narrows in right here around the rod area. Yeah. See, I'm not used to this. I'm used to basically the piston pin bosses coming clear out here to the edges of the piston itself, and then these pins being much longer. So that's smart. I mean, you know, given the fact that these pistons are probably a lot stronger than, you know, those typical casts and whatnot. And so therefore you can put them in like that, and you can lighten up your piston pin quite a bit by making it shorter. So that's kind of cool. I mean, I'm learning something new here, man. So I'm hoping you're learning something as well, because this is all new to me, kind of, sort of. I mean, I've messed with some, like I said, high performance stuff for customers, and you know, for my own stuff, you know, that old school stuff. But this is cool. This is really cool. And by the way, these are light. These are very light. So these are pretty amazing. The skirt is way shorter than I'm used to. As a matter of fact, let me go get that other piston so we can kind of compare them side by side, because I know your curiosity is, you know, your kitty cat curiosity is getting to you just like mine is. Check this out. Yeah, this is definitely heavier. Of course, there's a pin sitting in here too. And you can see how this one here was balanced years ago. Look at that. Look at the size of that pin. And this is the press fit pin, by the way. These are floating pins, a little bit more for, you know, performance. Look at that. That would be the link comparison right there. Look at that. That's probably 3/4 of an inch shorter or so, maybe even 7/8. And take a look at how much shorter the piston is. Yeah. I mean, these babies are, you know, basically almost the same size. I mean, this one here is obviously 30 over, and this one's 40 over. So it's slightly larger, but look at that. But yet it's definitely, look at that. Look at that. Definitely not near as tall. Now, of course, again, we're talking about, you know, a stroker piston here, you know. I mean, because look how, and look at that. Now, that's a perfect example of that. Look at the size of those rings, especially that oil ring. Look at that. Yeah, definitely. But again, you can see that the oil control ring here is getting pretty close, but it's not near as close, you know. Well, I meant that wrong. This is close, that is not as close. Right, there you go. That's what I meant to say. So again, this is what you're getting when you, and let's see, that about, you know what, I should have had my gram scale out, but it's definitely heavier, and this is definitely heavier than that right there, for sure, because you got 3/4 to 7/8 of an inch more, and you can actually see inside there where it gets thicker to the center, where this one here, I don't know if you're going to see it in the camera or not, but it's straight through. There's no thickened area inside there, so it's more uniform. They appear to be the same thickness, actually. Yeah, they're about the same thickness. Maybe the other one's a little thicker, which would make sense if you're, you know, going to be shorter. You can actually do that, just slightly thicker, to make sure you get, you know, a good strength, but yet you're still lighter. So anyway, there you go. This is the Mahle Motorsport forged piston. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to talk about real quick before I let you go here. So these has right there. There we go. Look at that. Got the arrow stating the front, because there's actually, these things are not quite centered. I haven't gone to the website yet, and I've read everything here. I don't see anything in here regarding piston to rod connection, as far as, like, you know, putting them on. But as you can see here, this is obviously universal, really. I mean, so, you know, you have this facing the front on this side of the engine, for example. and you got the intake valve relief, exhaust valve relief here. And if you went over to the other side, you know, you would be you know, able to do that. As far as like just, you know, make sure that that's to the front no matter what, right? So if you're on this side of the bank, look at that, it's reading front, but it's upside down. All right, but on this one over here, check it out. So you got to pay attention when you put this on, because you're going to want this at the top every time. So I don't know, and I haven't found anything reading in here, but I don't know if like this upper set here needs to be on the driver's side, and then the bottom set needs to be on the passenger side, or whatever, because again, these pistons here, they do have, if you were to take and measure from like right here, or the center line, if you want to do that, if you want to be that exact, I guess if you could find a center line, right, with the right measuring instrument, and you were to go out to here, and then you do the same thing over on this side, it's going to be slightly off just a little bit. A lot of engines were like that, especially, you know, the old school engines that we're working on here. And so the point I'm making is that you've heard of people taking and actually installing these things backwards intentionally to change the dwell at the top and blah 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 blah. Well, let's not get into that tangent because I'll go on forever. But let's talk about the fact that that is something that you need to consider and you need to be aware of. It happens. So that being said, I don't know if that still happens here or not. And I won't know until I measure. And I'm going to be measuring. I'm going to get out my, you know, micrometers and all that funky shit that I got hidden away in there, my machinist tools. And I'm going to be measuring from the center line, or at least at minimum the edge to the outer piston skirt, and make sure it's the same on both sides. And if it is, well then, that tells me that this is centered now, and compared to what they used to be when they were factory, or when these pistons were made trying to, you know, emulate factory, so to speak. And because again, when you put your heads on there, they're going to be slanted 20 degrees. At least my heads will be right there. Edelbrock E205 heads is what I have. And they'll be slanted 20 degrees to 8 valves, I believe. Or, yeah, I think it's 2.08. Or it's at least 202s, but I think it's 208. But anyway, point being, is you got to make sure that you do this right when you assemble it onto the piston, so that no matter what side of the bank that you're on, these are pointing upwards. These are sitting upwards like this. Because if you get it like this, you're going to have your intake coming down here and your exhaust coming down here, and a potential piston to valve contact, and you are not going to like that. Now, of course, I'm going to be doing all the measuring and everything that you're supposed to be doing, putting it all together as a dry assembly, you know, dropping a head on, probably without a head gasket, and, you know, just doing a mock-up kind of thing, and degree to cam to a certain, you know, whatever degree, or, you know, straight up, or whatever they call that, for whatever the cam was designed for, and then go ahead and actually, you know, rotate it over, put some clay in here, and see what kind of piston to valve clearance I have. Because you can, you know, obviously degree to cam a little bit to make it to where it's not near as close, etc., etc. And I always do it very nicely and gently without a head gasket, because then when I put a head gasket on, I know that I'm going to have more clearance, actually, right? So that's how I do things. But, you know, you do you, and however you do it. Okay, so I think this is pretty much everything that you probably want to see. You know, you're probably annoyed at me at this point for talking too much about sometimes shit you don't want to hear, and honestly, I don't give a shit. If you don't like it, you don't have to come here, right? Right. Awesome. But I don't mind you showing up here. This is, again, for your information and just kind of showing you what you get when you unbox this particular kit, which is 9302. So that would be, I don't know what 9 is, but 302, I assume. 44530. I would assume 30 is 30 over. I don't know if I can... Yeah, I can't really make out what the 445 would be. Okay, guys, so this is what you're going to get when you unbox that kit. These are amazing pistons. I'm a little, you know, I haven't had something like this myself in my entire life for my very own. So I'm gushing here a little bit on how awesome these things are. Just because it just floors me. I mean, these are amazing. We've come a long ways, ladies and gentlemen. We have come a very long way. You can see here you've got a groove and a groove for some ability of the piston pin to get lubed in here, for example. Now, these were press fit, remember, so all of your friction is going to be right here and here. Now, these are going to be full floating piston pins, so you're going to have, you know, friction here and friction inside of your rod, which is bushed. But you can see you've got what appears to be, I don't know, is that an oiling hole there? I don't know what that is. I don't see where the other end of that is. You can kind of see right there. Looks like a hole was like drilled, you know, at this kind of angle, and then they come over here and they drilled a hole over here, but I don't see any place where like oil could get up on top and fall down in there. So I don't know if that's like a just an oil cavity, you know, like where oil could just I'm gonna have to get a magnifying glass and kind of look into those a little bit closer. But anyway, I do notice there's holes there. I don't know why they're there. Maybe they're who knows, maybe they're, I don't know what that's for, honestly. Unless, wait a minute. So there's the hole right there. I wonder, it looks like a boss heading that way. Yeah, so it looks like it goes over that way. I wonder if it drills into that. And yeah, I'll bet. You know what? If I take an air compressor and kind of blow in there, I'll bet it'll blow air right here. So that'll tell me something. But, oh yeah, so oil control ring. Okay, now it's starting to make sense. Now I know, it takes me a while to catch on. You guys that are veterans out there and serious dudes are probably saying, it's just shaking your head. You're face palming yourself like, what the fuck, this guy, you know? But anyway, looks like I figured it out. Oil control ring here. Some of the oil that's captured goes right in here and flows right over here and lubes the pin. I think that's what happens. That makes sense. And then these are oil control somewhat reliefs. Oil gets trapped in that ring, falls down right here, you know, and just falls back into the crankcase. So yeah, I think I learned something today. See, again, I don't have those fancy dancy things with these old ones here. Yeah, none of that. In fact, there's the only oil control flow back that I got is on each side of the piston, right there. That's it. Whereas these just have, you know, one hole there, two on the opposite side, and then one right there that actually goes right over to that boss area. What apparently comes over here to the pin to lube that. So that's really cool. That is so cool. Man, I'm learning a lot, and I'm just loving these pistons. I mean, hey, you know what? I will use these day in and day out, every day, because I'm telling you, I've used these for like 2 or 3 engines of my own. I've got a lot of friends back in the 90s that had 5.0 Mustangs that use those. Obviously, they came factory on a lot of on a lot of Mustangs. We beat the shit out of those cars. I mean, we beat the shit out of those cars, and those pistons did amazing. And then when they went to the hyper ejected pistons, I would have to say that those engines did amazing as well. It's just that you had to be very, very much more careful regarding, you know, advanced timing, especially boosted and nitrous applications where, you know, when you had those forged pistons, man, you could be stupid almost, and those things would just keep on ticking. Take a licking and keep on ticking, I'm telling you. All right, you've heard enough from me now, I'm sure. So like, subscribe, rumble, 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 and did I mention Rumble? Because Rumble is kicking YouTube's ass, by the way, in case you didn't know. Better get some stock, and come back, and I'm gonna have more for you.